Welcome back, and let me have the pleasure of introducing you to episode 4. Yes, this is me, Louis, speaking. I have finally taken over, and this is now Open Up with Louis. On today's episode, we have a beautiful guest, my wife, Amira. Lovely to have you on the pod, Amira. Are you happy to be here?
I'm very happy to be on my own podcast. Thank you.
Good.
Feels different to have you hosting it.
Yeah, how does that feel?
Strange. Definitely like
Strange.
I've lost the power.
No, do you feel uncomfortable?
Mm.
Okay, that's good. So this episode is going to be all around, well, let me say this first. It's a question that you've been asked the most, and it is marriage meetings.
Yeah, how we do them, why we do them, what they look like. Kind of tell me more. Would I want to do this? My partner would never do this. That kind of vibe.
So we thought, let's make this episode all about it, what they are a bit behind the scenes. So I'm going to jump straight in because I'm quite succinct with things. And I'm going to give you a question, Amira. What is a marriage meeting?
You know that you can just talk to me really conversationally.
Yeah, I would love to.
This sounds straight away like an interview.
Oh, sorry. I thought this is how I would host my pod.
Oh, okay. What is a marriage meeting? I say that it's our space and our time where we agree to connect and talk about things that are important to us. So I wouldn't put it in the same bracket as this is our quality time. It's not. But it is our time to connect, stay connected as well, and see, are we on the same page? What's kind of life-saving for us individually as well? So can cover a multitude of things, but I think if I had to sum it up, that's probably a really helpful way to do it.
Yeah, I think hearing you say that has reminded me, I have had a few of my male friends ask me, what's it like? And a lot of people say that.
Have you really?
Yeah, just generally like being married,
Oh.
like what's the difference?
Yeah.
And I'm quite honest, and if you've not lived with your partner before, then maybe moving in together would be the biggest difference. But there's really no difference in terms of legally you are entitled to each other's assets, and if you have children, this is it. This is the difference. This is what men want to hear.
Okay.
And with children, if something was to happen to either of your spouse, then there's actual like law there that you can have custody of the kids, and outer family can't dispute it. So for me, that is kind of like the difference with marriage. But
as in, it's for life.
It's for yes.
You
yes,
hope, isn't it? You
yes,
hope it's for life.
Yes, you
I
do.
always say, like, I do hope I get a lifetime dinner with you, but I'm not delusional. That takes work.
Yeah, I'm here for the work. So what I wanted to say with tying it into the marriage meeting is that it almost becomes, and I feel, you join in business, or you join in like a partnership.
Yeah.
When you're dating, it's kind of like, yeah, you're getting to know each other and everything, but marriage is kind of, you're bringing your income, you're bringing your kind of selves together. So our conversations around our future, you tell me, have been completely different since being married.
Yeah, that's so fair. I don't know if I've actually looked at it through the same lens that you've just explained it, which is really helpful. But I love when you said partnership.
Business. That's what the guys, yeah, you're going into business.
Well, yeah. Okay. Also, one of the stats out of Paul Brunson's book is the person you choose, not just choose to do life with and go into, in our words, go into business with, but the person you choose to have kids with is the most, hands down, the most important decision that you ever make. And I cannot second that enough, unfortunately, from like loads of personal experience around me where relationships have come undone, and actually the impact on what then happens with the kids, how you co-parent together. And I always say, if it's just you guys without kids, some of those decisions can be made. You can hate each other, you can dislike, you can fight. You can essentially at some point draw the line and step away from each other. As soon as you have kids with somebody, you are tied in until the day that you die, unless one of them is actively like, I don't want to be involved. So that means you have to find a way of co-parenting together. Anyway, back to the point when you said around looking at it since we've been married. I'm saying partnership, you're saying business partnership. And our conversation's changing. Yeah, I think for me, it's really felt like, what are we building? And I think I feel really protective in a healthy way of like our space together and understanding what do we both want to bring to the table? What is the type of life that we both want to build together? Otherwise, we wouldn't have got married, I don't think.
True, yeah.
And so I think one really important point for me on this is also making sure that as we grow as individuals, we've got the space to share that with the other person. Because the version I met, like the version of you I met, is obviously a really different version to the person I married, and not in a negative way, but you've grown. So then I think one of my insights that I guess I've seen from, the job I do and personal experience is people tend to drift apart or split up when I feel you haven't maybe grown together, which is part of life. So how do you make sure that you stay aligned as you both evolve through the different eras of your life?
So would you say that's what the marriage meetings are aimed at?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really, I think that's really, you've explained it really well.
Thank you.
How often should someone have a marriage meeting?
So I think it's really dependent. I think you and I are quite fluid with it at the moment. And I know that our businesses take on a different shape and different form in terms of each season. So I think kind of like hands down, we try and have one at least once a month. I think we are quite good at zooming out and understanding what's the purpose of this particular like marriage meeting or this conversation. Why do we need it? I know in the beginning of the year, we were doing them every single week, but I think there's like different types of marriage meetings that you can have. So just get very clear on like what's a bigger conversation where you're looking at your goals, or are you both working towards the same thing? Are there like bigger projects that are coming into your lives that need like a
Separately
brainstorm?
and stuff.
Yeah. So I think in the beginning of this year, we were doing them every week, but I think there was a lot post-wedding for us to actually sit down and be like, wait, how do we feel about this? How do we feel about that? And it was the beginning of the year, so we were talking about finances. We were also talking about I say intentions for the year. I hate talking about goals. Goals is just how you do it. Your intention is actually how do you want to feel? How do you want to live? So I think January was every week. And then I feel like we've got into a monthly flow, and that there's a different theme from one month to another.
Okay. That's leading me on to another question. For anyone out there who is kind of maybe one half of the partner where they're thinking that stuff sounds boring, like sitting down, going through finances and getting a spreadsheet out is like that. Couldn't think of anything worse. Is that the only way to do a marriage meeting?
The short answer is no. I always say find a way that's going to work for you and your partner. And hopefully, given the fact we've done this as a 4-part series, understand the way you both like to communicate, like understand the way you both want to connect with each other. And I've had like really positive feedback on it and really negative feedback on it. So actually I was talking to Mark and he was like, no way, not doing that. And I was like, well, why? And it felt more because it's like the apprehension of what you're going to talk about. And even somebody recently in my community was like, my husband will never buy into this. And I think the idea for me is it's not about one of you instigating, we must have a marriage meeting, or, you know, this is a business meeting. Although I do think sometimes ours feel like that, but not in a bad way. It's
not in a bad way.
That's the approach we've decided to take. So I think it's natural if you've never done it before, but also if you're not used to having open types of conversations, it's probably going to feel quite confronting. So my first thing is think about how you can both come to the table on it. Why would you both want to have the conversation? Why is this an important part of your relationship? start small. Doesn't need to be about all the big things. Like, just start with, so something one of my friends actually said, she was like, Mira, since I've seen you do it, this is what we do. I said, what, really? When my friends take on my advice, I feel extra special. And one of the things she's taken on, she said, every week on a Sunday, we sit down, we do our family planning meeting, and we go through all of our schedules. And she's got 2 kids, they're completely different ages. And she said it makes sure that the 4 of us as a unit are on the same page. We've got visibility, and it also creates way less tension. So when you said as well about like tracking it on a spreadsheet, or it sounds really boring, one is find a way that works for you to do it, like you and your partner or you and your family. And the second thing is, we don't even use a spreadsheet. I mean, I hate a spreadsheet.
We old school, paper and pen.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking it should be a collaborative approach, because what is, really encouraging is if you kind of say to your, and this is why I use the word business, because if you look at like any business, they want to upskill like their management. They want to kind of bring in, any thriving business doesn't just work from the top, like the CEOs and CFOs. You want to start getting all the ideas from everybody else within the firm. So getting someone else to lead the session, or to say to your partner, hey, like, how do you want to do the marriage meeting this month? Shall we get the kids involved, and shall we make it like a bit more interactive? I think that is like a great way. It doesn't always need to be one way every month.
Yeah, honestly, I think that is gold. And definitely, as you said, ask your partner, take it in turns. It's the same way. I was doing a leadership session recently, and one of my leaders was saying, oh yeah, but every team meeting, which they do on a weekly basis, feels so repetitive.
Yeah.
My question was, why do you keep leading it? You got a team of 10 people. I'm pretty sure they've all got something they want to bring to the table, and it makes you feel, as you said, it's a partnership and feel collaborative. And sometimes I think in relationships it can feel quite one person's the parent, and one person's the child, and we don't want that. We want an adult to adult relationship. So yeah, collaboration is key.
How would you break down it could be ours or just a typical marriage meeting, like how would you kind of go through the, let's say, agenda?
Yeah, definitely. So I think probably and you can pick this up at any stage. So I get we're in probably October by the time this episode goes live. So we're kind of ending a calendar year, but you can literally pick this up and do it whenever you want. I think it'll be good to kind of start with an overview for your next 12 months. Like, are you guys just starting fresh? Do you have an idea of what you want your next 12 months to look like as a couple? What kind of season are you in as a couple? Like, when we started this, we'd literally just got married. It felt like such a whirlwind part of our life. And then it was like, right, now let's ground ourselves. And actually, we haven't really talked about married life. We haven't talked about what we want that to look like or what we want that to feel like. And yeah, there's loads of things from being before we got married that have naturally come into the way that we live our married life, and loads of practices and things like that. But it gave us space for the conversation. So my big thing, first of all, is zoom out. Where are you at in your relationship? What does maybe that next 12 months look or feel like? So I always like to say, what season are you in? And I think for us, it was actually, let's reground ourselves.
Yeah.
We also, I think, are both in the stages of our business where there's lots going on.
Yes.
And so making sure we come back together and we're on the same page is
quite
really important.
I feel like touching base is quite important to get back to the kind of anchor point, because I feel within some of the recent meetings, because there's a lot going on. Why are you laughing?
Because I'm actually so scared what's going to come in next.
Because there's a lot going on with both of us with work.
Yeah.
Things like, decorating with the flat, or maybe getting certain stuff done, things fixed, for example. We acknowledge it in the meeting, and it's like, right, because both work is kind of busy for both of us, this is going to get kind of pushed to next month. Yeah. So that kind of almost negates, if say we weren't having the meetings, you just had someone just one Friday morning going, this still isn't fixed, and this isn't. So it's almost helping in terms of when it gets to those moments where you might be in conflict, and then you're getting nagged about, or someone's just saying, this isn't done in the house, we're not on top of things. Whoa, wait a second, there's an agenda for the whole year. We spoke about this in the marriage meeting.
In the management meeting.
So I think it does help give like everyone an oversight. So it's like, look, guys, this is the plan. We spoke about this, so there's no need to get stressed about it.
Yeah, then honestly, you explain that so
a lot of work on.
Yeah, and understanding when you're in those busy seasons. Also, I did want to say as well, if it feels overwhelming to like zoom out and be like, oh my God, what season of my life am I in, and things like that, I think the way you and I do it is we really flow between like a task orientated meeting. So very much kind of like what's on the schedule this week. Like we're in a busy season, so lots of things aren't going to get done. But then also zooming out in terms of, I say, have categories of your life. So finances most definitely should be on there. If they're not on there, what are you doing? Like, how are you in a couple and not talking about your finances? Question, first of all. But split your life out into different areas. So 1, know what kind of season you're going into. 2, have different areas of your life. These are hours. They don't need to be the same. Do what's important for you. But with finances, health, I feel like we never really put on the agenda, but I think it's because it's such a habitual part of our life that we don't ever need to talk about it.
Enjoy the health. That's kind of just like...
Yeah, but I know that I've got friends, for example, who have just had kids and then have gone through a whole different phase of what health means to them. And actually something they've needed to discuss with their partner has been, look, I need you around at certain times.
So I can exercise.
Yeah, so I can, and I physically need to be out of the environment, and I want to go to the gym. I don't want to do a home workout. So actually, yeah, if health needs to be on your agenda, do it. I don't think it needs to for us. I think as well, we try, it doesn't always work, but we do try to have 1 session a week together, which kind of is our quality time.
Yeah, you tag along with me.
Yeah, basically.
No, I enjoy it.
And I get you to take my content.
Yes.
Yes, that too. So health, fun, huge one. Put fun, holidays, whatever comes under that. Yeah, sometimes I think we keep travel separate.
Yeah.
But you can put it under fun as well. Depends how you want to do it. Other things like career or job or business, put that on there for sure. Because I think also understanding how you operate individually helps you then come together. So yeah, understand what year you're going into. So for us, this wasn't really about, oh, we're going to go achieve all our big goals this year. I think we're quite clear around maybe, I don't like putting timeframes on things actually, but maybe in the next 5 years, these are some of the things that are important to us in terms of where we live, whether we'd have kids, those kind of bigger things that are perhaps bigger goals. But we know this year, for example, buying a house is not on our agenda. Example. So what is allowed us to do is, all right, what are the other areas? And like home is a category on our list. And then from there, we then kind of focus on, I guess, different parts of the year. So what's important, the beginning of the year was massively focused on finances. So I also say as well, like some people will tackle every area all in a meeting, which if that works for you, go for it.
Again, it comes to timing as well. Like if you're in a space where it's like, we can't just in this meeting go over everything, then just be like, fine, let's just tackle one aspect within the meeting today.
Yeah, and sometimes for us under finances, it's book meeting with accountant. Yeah. Like it's so basic, but we know that that meeting will allow X to happen. And it can just be like, right, we're not ignoring it. And I think maybe like reprioritizing, because again, I think we're quite good with travel. I feel like we're in a habit. We have really good roles in terms of how we travel. Basically, I'm a passenger princess. I think I'll probably have to disclaimer that. Yeah, and then we have different. So I feel like we're going into a home era in terms of
kind of like looking at the home and
where we want to spend the money, what we want to do, our environment.
I think there's a lot of freedom there and a lot of whatever is unique to your relationship. You can then create those pillars and they can be important to you within those meetings.
Yeah, and I do feel like on a Sunday when we plan our weeks, that's separate to our marriage meetings. I feel like but that took us a really long time to get into the habit of. It used to be a chore. I think we both
do the scheduler.
Yeah, we both used
It's such a necessity though. You notice when you do it and you don't do it, the difference.
Yeah, and that reminds me, when you went back and you said, what about people that are listening feeling like, oh my God, I can't think of anything worse, how boring. My question is, what's the cost of you not having the meeting or not finding some sort of way, shape or form to implement it? What's it going to cost? And I think when we didn't have visibility over each other's schedules, you've got these expectations that the other person should be doing this and actually the schedule has also allowed us, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, to be like, actually, I'm going into a really big week, or I've got a big project that I'm feeling a bit nervous about. Or you might be like, all right, this week is not just a fitness week, but it's a dance week as well.
It gives you an opportunity to bring that to the table.
Yeah. And then I know, for example, if you're doing a lot of physical activity above your day job.
Yeah, you can see it when you're putting the schedule down. So it's almost like you would say to me, oh, babe, we've got a lot on this week. You have a lot on this week. And I'm like, oh yeah, actually there is this. Then I'm realizing, oh, it is a big week for me physically.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So it helps with planning and prioritizing and staying connected, and then goes back to our bigger goals. I feel like that's why, for example, we started this year with financials, because so much other stuff will feed off of that. But until we have visibility on that and really, really get good at it, it makes all our other kind of goals and dreaming a bit harder. But I know we're at the point as well where we're so due like I say dream session, but that probably sounds so weird, but I mean like a creative session.
Oh, okay.
Where we're literally like, let's go dream big. What are you thinking? What am I thinking? Where are we aligned? Where are we not? Where might you give me some food for thought? Because you do that a lot.
Yes. Amira, you've been absolutely wonderful. I feel as though Marriage Meetings is now in everyone's mind. Is there anything you feel that people need to know about them before we round off?
Just find your way of doing it. If it feels overwhelming, start small. Our way of doing it was our weekly schedules. Then we introduced finances. And now it's a lot easier to know who's doing what, work around each other, and talk about things beyond what we started. So start small. It doesn't have to cover everything. But I do really, truly believe it can only help and enhance your relationship.
Thank you so much. And I hope we continue to do this for life, together, forever.
Me too.